war. Now, Reverend Wright, we were offered several things. First of all, it was that he did not say anything controversial. A few days later, we were told that he was not present in the pews and didn't hear him while sitting in the pews. Then we were given a dramatic condemnation of these things in a speech, in which he said he found these statements by Reverend Wright to be reprehensible. But he then went on to say he could no more disavow Reverend Wright than he could disavow the black community. He could no more disavow Reverend Wright than he could disavow his white grandmother. And he proceeded to throw his grandmother under the bus. At the heart of the speech was a theory of moral equivalency. What Reverend Wright said in saying that the government created AIDS as a genocidal tool, that we got what we deserved on 9/11, that the government created crack cocaine in order to subjugate black people, that these are somehow morally equivalent to, I don't know, a 70-year-old grandmother saying, I feel uncomfortable sometimes going out at night if I don't know who the people are and they're black. We've all had relatives who have privately said things like that. We have rarely had preachers who say things like what Reverend Wright said. And yet somehow there was this moral equivalency. Not only there, but there was an excuse. He deliberately said you needed to understand the context of Reverend Wright's comment by understanding the context of black anger, which he eloquently talked about. But then said there was a moral equivalent of white anger, and talked about what it was all about. And then said black and white together have a common enemy, as he came to the close of his oration. And that common enemy is who? American corporations. I found it all a little disturbing. I think it would have been far more powerful and far more effective if he had said, you know what? These are reprehensible things. And I knew about him. I knew he went to see Muammar Gaddafi and with Louis Farrakhan. I know he said these kind of things. And you know what? I should have spoken up. And the fact that I didn't is a stain on my reputation. But I understand and I get it. And the American people, as one, would have applauded it. The other one is the 100 Years of War. In his speech in Springfield, Senator Obama talked about how he wanted to get beyond the era of cheap political shots, spin, and PR. Senator McCain recently made a comment about how he would welcome a 100-year presence by the United States in Iraq, with the caveat that as long as U.S. troops were not being killed, with a clear implication that this would be like the U.S. presence in Korea, or Japan, or Germany. We've had troops in Japan and Germany for over 60 years. We've had troops in Korea for nearly 60 years. And the presence of the U.S. military has been a stabilizing influence in that dangerous part of the world. We've had troops in, ironically enough, Iceland and Great Britain for even longer, nearly 70 years. Yet this comment was taken by Senator Obama and turned into statements that Senator McCain favored 100 years of war. Now, if there's one man in America who has a right to say that he opposes 100 years of war, it's a man who's been through 5.5 years in the Hanoi Hills. I thought it was interesting that Senator Obama repeated this several times, leading a relatively mild but nonetheless pointed commentator, Charles Krauthammer, to say this recently on television. I thought it was an interesting comment on television, which was backed up by an also interesting column. He said, he's been treating this, he's referring to McCain. He said, McCain has been treating this 100-year accusation as a matter of the experience of foreign affairs. Who is better on it? It is a character issue. Obama has been riding this clean hands, above the fray, new politics persona that he created brilliantly for himself in the campaign, and here he has said, at least as you indicated earlier, twice, that McCain wants 100 years of war. Obama has said it at least twice, he goes on. It is clearly a lie. Objective observers like the Annenberg Political Fact Check Group have called it a rank falsehood, which is as strong and unequivocal accusation as you can make from an independent arbiter. I think he, McCain, needs to say that this is old politics. And what is ironic about this is that Obama's chief military advisor and campaign co-chairman, General Tommy McPeak, said at the beginning of the Iraq War, "We will be there a century, hopefully, if it works right," end quote. Meaning if we succeed. as we did, for example, in the war in Kuwait, where we've remained for 17 years. So his, meaning Obama's own advisor, said 5 years ago that staying 100 years was a good idea because it gives stability and projects our power and is a way that great powers act after they win wars, and here is Obama attacking McCain over this.